I needed to strengthen my personal leadership skills, which meant I needed to learn how to evolve with other people, and I needed to help them evolve with other people as well.
Welcome to the WRC podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and you're in the right place. Here at the Well-Rounded Counselor podcast, what you can expect is to learn, shift your thinking, and gain personal and professional growth. And if you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast episode. The conversation starts now. Welcome, everybody. I feel so thankful to have another incredible guest join me today on today's episode. I've had the privilege to work side by side with her for many years, and she is a true boss lady. And I don't think she realizes how incredibly patient, professional, and well-rounded she is in her own practices as a counselor. I cannot wait to introduce her in just a moment on the WRC podcast. But before we get started, make sure you head over to my socials and stay connected in my WRC community. I have my Facebook, the Gram, even my YouTube channel where you can get lots of free advice and resources. So let's get into today's episode. I am so thrilled to introduce to you Trisha Johnson. She is from the southeastern region of the USA and has been a resident in the United Arab Emirates since 2016. Her career began as a family and consumer science high school teacher, where she realized her passion for teaching students had extended into helping their families and the community. She led to the pursuit of a graduate degree in social work, which then allowed her to begin her counseling career. As a clinical outpatient therapist, Trisha provided individual, group, and family therapy. Although her clientele was the whole family from age 3 and up, her focus was primarily with adolescents. Trisha describes working as a community therapist as one of the most fulfilling careers that she has ever held. Trisha eventually merged the two career passions of teaching and community therapy by becoming a school counselor. During her school counseling career, she was the recipient of the Special Education Impact Award. Although she has worked as a whole school counselor from KG, kindergarten, to 12th grade, her passion remains with adolescents in high school, focusing on their social and emotional health alongside their academic success and pursuit of college and careers. Trisha earned her Bachelor's of Science in Family and Consumer Sciences, and she attended Winthrop University, and her master's is in social work from the University of Georgia. Trisha has worked in the states of Georgia and North Carolina within the United States, as well as the Middle East here in Sharjah and Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. When she is not counseling, Trisha's passions include experiencing new cultures through international travel and CrossFit. On a personal note, Trisha has the biggest heart, and I mean the biggest heart. She pours into whomever she works with and gives them 1,000% to become better every single day. Her work ethic is out of this world, and her vision and foresight to evolve is motivating, and her personality and positivity is contagious. I've had the pleasure to become really good friends with Trisha, and I appreciate her zest for life. Whether we get lost on a hike or plan the next theme party, Trisha is young at heart and has taught me how to live and not take life so seriously. Without her, I don't know what type of person and counselor I would become today. So please give the warmest and biggest welcome to Trisha Johnson. Trisha, I'm so excited to have you here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a school counselor.
Wow, Katrina, what a welcome. What a warm welcome. I don't even know how to follow that. I think you've given my entire life, and you have already got me pumped and energized. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this journey.
You're welcome. I'm so thankful to have you here. And we've been talking about this for quite a while now. And just before the call, I was giving you the pep talk of how exciting this is going to be and how much fun it's going to be. So let's get into today's topic of how you became this amazing boss lady. This is how I see you, as this person that just is a mover and a shaker. Tell us a little bit about your journey, a little more detail about how you became a counselor.
Well, the journey, it's pretty funny, because if you look at my mom's, childhood books of me starting from a very young age, I think every year she would have my school picture. It would say, "What did you want to be when you grow up?" And it has consistently always been a teacher from a young age, which is kind of the catalyst of what evolved for me to become a counselor. And initially, my passion for teaching began because I've always known that I've wanted to help people. And at that point in time, I wanted to help kids, solely kids. I wanted to be able to help people who sometimes I felt were unreachable, where some people weren't able to kind of touch. And as a teacher, I absolutely loved it. I did that for 5 years and I worked with high school kids. And then what I realized was I liked working with them beyond just a classroom. And that kind of led me to pursuing a master's degree in social work. And the reason I chose social work is because I know myself and I know I like to have options. And when I was deciding between counseling, like a school counselor, and social work, what I learned at that time is that social work would allow different, avenues. I could work in schools, I could work in the community, I could work in hospitals, I could work in police departments. So I pursued the social work degree and became a therapist. And then as a first I was a social worker, kind of like a case manager. I did a lot of linking and coordinating with families, connecting them to resources in the community, such as financial assistance with utilities, food, educational activities, or just additional activities for kids. And then I learned I actually really liked working with the families on a therapeutic level. So I continued and I pursued my clinical license and became a outpatient therapist working with, again, all ages, and found myself missing the long-term relationships. And as a therapist, sometimes you work with a person or family for a pretty long time, but most of the time it's short term because the goal is to teach them positive coping skills. So I missed being in a school setting where I knew at least for 4 years and typically longer because you work with families and siblings as they come through the school system. So it's more of a long-term relationship. And it just kind of brought me back into the school system where I, was able to merge my passion as a therapist and then working in the schools and having that long-term relationship with kids and their families.
Wow. And you kind of mentioned that it motivated you become a counselor. Like what were some of the skill sets that were transferable from being a classroom teacher, a social worker to becoming a school counselor?
I think one of the things that I've always been fortunate with is I've had a very diverse childhood growing up. I've been in a lot of different circumstances, and the benefit to that it allows me on my side to empathize with more situations and different scenarios. And from a whether it was a client as a therapy in a therapeutic realm, or whether it is a student or parents coming to see me in a school setting, it allows them to have a more comfortable relationship with me because they recognize that I can relate to them and they can relate to me. And I think as far as is the biggest transferable skill is that I've had that. So if I'm able to empathize with a person, whether it is again a kid or a parent, and whether they can feel that I can relate to them and they can relate to me, it just creates an environment where they don't feel judged. And if they don't feel judged, then typically they are more open and honest. And if they're more open and honest, then it provides for more opportunity for productive solutions.
Absolutely. I've seen you do this with pretty much everybody, whether it's parents, students, or even your team, that you know how to speak to everybody and relate to everybody. You find like that common piece of the puzzle to connect with them. And I also seen it in our relationship, outside of a professional relationship, that you know how to connect to people. And I definitely think that's such a key quality. Um, So, what were some of the things that you realized that you needed to learn pretty quickly and adapt to becoming a counselor? Because yeah, you've had all these positions and all these experiences and even the education. When you get thrown into a job, maybe what are some of the skill sets you need to quickly learn or realize you didn't know?
Well, in my current position, I think I can really attest to. I think this has been the biggest learning curve because my background within teaching and within therapy has always been a focus on mental health. And I've worked in comprehensive roles in other schools, but in the current school that I'm at, there's a heavy focus on the academic and career and college aspect. So I quickly learned that in the comprehensive role that I've held, I needed to really strengthen my college and career advising. The population that I'm in is extremely diverse and they matriculate all over the world. And it wasn't until I was in this position that I realized there was so much more to learn. And I've been very fortunate at this particular school because they provide a lot of opportunities for that growth and for that knowledge. I also quickly realized that although I've always felt that I was able to see the larger picture and that my perspective was able to see things beyond just me, that it extends far beyond that. So, as a counselor, we have to be able to see things from our lens and from the people we're working with. As a leader of a team, you also have to be able to see things from a team's perspective and a department. So things that you're not only facilitating with an individual person like a student, but also as individuals on the team, and then the services that you're providing for your school or for your division. So whatever those roles are. And then additionally, I'm now learning to extend that to a corporate level. And what I'm quickly realizing is that a corporate perspective is vastly different from a divisional perspective, which is vastly different from an individual perspective. So I think those probably are the biggest learning curves that I've had to learn in the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. And when you're servicing and you're on the ground working in the trenches with the families, you're not thinking at these different levels and you're not thinking about budgets and long-term visions for a school. You're thinking about how to help this family right here and right now.
Exactly.
So I know you are the creme de la creme of a boss lady. This is what I keep calling you because you are. And we all know this, who's ever encountered working with you in the last few years knows that you have this incredible work ethic. You are learning to become an effective leader. So, what have you done to become an effective leader, and how do you lead your team effectively? That's two questions.
This it is a constant reevaluation. And I will say, in my current school, I started as a member of the team and then it evolved into leading the team. And I've led a team before. As a therapist, I've led several teams. But what I quickly realized was that I have been incredibly, well, I would say fortunate, but then I'm going to retract that statement in a moment. So initially, I felt very fortunate because the teams that I've led were smaller teams. They were teams of three. And what I didn't realize until recently was that we were all the same. Our work styles, our personalities, everything was the same. And so it was very smooth and very easy. Now, fast forward into evolving into the leader of the team that I'm in now, where I quickly realized that I don't know how to lead, or at the time, I didn't know how to lead other people who were different from me. So whether it was a personality type, whether it was a professional type, I had to quickly learn how to not only work with, but how to lead. And I'm going to go back to that in a moment. People who were vastly different. And initially, it was an absolute disaster. It was it was an eye opener for me because I went into the position very confident because I know that I'd been a leader before. And then throughout the first, I would say, first 6 months as the leader of the team, when things were just falling apart around me, I really realized that I needed to strengthen my personal leadership skills, which meant I needed to learn how to evolve with other people and I needed to help them evolve with other people as well. So, one of the things that I quickly did is I started taking middle leadership trainings, and that allowed me to see things from a different perspective again and how to work with people who are different from me. And I will say, Katrina, you have been the biggest catalyst is as far as this process is concerned. What I realized through this process and through these trainings was that in my mind, even though I have the outcome and I know where things I wanted things to go and where I was excited about the team um, building certain implementations, I quickly realized that I wasn't organized at all. Not at all. I was organized in my head, but I was not organized in practice. And Katrina, you have been an extreme benefit because you are probably, I can't even say probably, you are literally the most organized person I know. And so working with you initially, I think I probably drove you crazy because I was scatterbrained. I had all these ideas, but I had no flow as far as implementation. And through the trainings, through the readings, through literally sitting down with you and figuring out how to better organize myself, can better organize a team. And the more organized I am, the more organized the team is. And if the team is more organized, then that provides opportunity for better implementations within the team and within the division, things that we want to produce.
Thanks, Trisha. I really appreciate that. And I didn't know I was one of the driving catalysts. I remember that time in the office where things felt a little bit uneven and there was no smooth sailing at that time. There was a lot of rocky waters, a lot of changes happening too. And a lot of new people on the team. There was just so much happening. And you had just become the leader of this department. And I remember very vividly how you were just like surviving and not thriving at that time. And now, how many years has it been that you've been in this position? You are killing it. You are rocking it, girl.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
One of the things that I loved about you as a leader is that you really try to help everybody understand each other's personality and how we can work more effectively with each other. That was something
I,
that
I,
I felt was a very powerful activity that you did.
and that was one of the, I remember sitting down and I decided to pursue coaching sessions with another colleague. And when I was initially struggling, what I've realized is not what I've realized, what I've kind of always known. I have zero interest in like being the head of a department just to be a head of a department. I have more interest in leading a team and leading initiatives. And one of the things that I realized that I was struggling with was also one of the things that was most important to me. You know, different people can effectively be ahead of a department and ensure that people are meeting their responsibilities as an individual and also meeting the responsibilities of a team as far as the services for the schools, for example. But one of the things that was more important to me is that we all were working together and enjoying it and using our strengths and literally trying to lead people to either strengthening their strengths, or enhancing things that they weren't so comfortable with as far as the growth of us individually and as a team. And within the coaching sessions, I quickly realized that it was incredibly important for us not only to recognize things about ourselves, but also for us to recognize things about other people. Because within a counseling department, we work so closely together that it is incredibly important that we understand each other. It's not just about our kids and our families, it's about each other. And um, really realizing what works best with each person and collectively as a team. So, I'm glad that that was something that was evident and shown. I know that that was something I realized was incredibly important that initially I wasn't strong in, and I'm trying to continuously, figure that out. And unfortunately, in the international communities, it's ever changing. We're very transient. The teams change, people change, and even we grow differently and we evolve individually over time. So, when I go back to my original statement of it's a constant reevaluation, that stands true. Even if I think about the team that I'm in this year, it's different from the team last year, it's different from the team 2 years ago. And even the people within the team, some of them are the same. And even though they're the same person, their personal styles have changed. So it's literally a constant evaluation on trying to do exactly what you've just said.
Absolutely. Now, I know you are first and foremost you're a school counselor, and now you have this responsibility of leading a department, a high school counseling department. And now you've been tasked with some additional roles and responsibilities. Can you share a little bit more about how those have impacted your practice a little more and how you manage it?
So as this is the great age question, and again, this is a constant evaluation and trying to figure that out. So two of my main roles right now, well, I'll say three. First and foremost, I'm a counselor. Then I am the head of the high school counseling department at my school. And then this year, and I've held that role now, this is my third year. With that particular role, it's a pro and a con. So the beautiful thing about it is you are able to develop your skills, you're able to develop a department, you're able to strengthen implementations that already exist, and you're able to create new initiatives. The con about that is it doesn't change your initial caseload. So the responsibilities that you hold as a counselor, they still exist. So finding the time and the balancing of still being effective within your counselor role, and then additionally being effective leading a team, and additionally being effective of strengthening current processes and creating new initiatives, depending on the time of year, can be a real struggle. And this is something that I am still learning how to do, because there's times when I get incredibly excited and I'm like, yes, I want to be able to do this and this and this. But then to actually find the time to focus on those things, there's sometimes it's non-existent, and sometimes you have all the time in the world. So depending on the time of year, depends on the responsibilities, and depends on the how the balance goes. This year I have a new additional role as a corporate lead, or corporate cluster lead counselor. So the parent company for the school I work with has created a new position. There are 9 of us who oversee 43 schools. And the cool thing about this role is that it is, first of all, it's a new initiative. Um, One of the benefits is it's allowing the corporate level to see more of what we do on the high school level more clearly, because they're actually working hand in hand with us. Another cool thing about that is it's providing more opportunities for collaboration. So, within 43 schools, some of these schools are heavily resourced and some aren't. And I like to, again, I always try to see things from other perspectives and how to effectively help people. So if I were at a school that wasn't as resourced as the current school I'm at now, the great thing about that is I get to partner and work with people who can help strengthen me and help me strengthen my program, which can then benefit the students who are in my program. So it's kind of cool. What I do like about this is it is a collaboration, it's a collaborative effort. So it's not an isolated responsibility, and it's a growth in progress. But again, that goes back into figuring out and maintaining the balance with that, in addition to still effectively leading a department, in addition to still effectively being a counselor. So it's a
Absolutely.
constant, again, evaluation.
Absolutely. For those that might be listening to this episode, maybe they are not working on a team. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who is the only person in a department, or maybe the whole school counselor? How could they be an effective leader?
Utilizing your resources. One of the things that I, over the years, have grown to realize is that it doesn't matter how successful you are at something. It's always great to have other people to bounce ideas off of. It's always great to have other people who can give different perspectives, because sometimes, as people, we naturally see things from one perspective, and then other people can give us additional cues and additional ways to do things. So for those who are sole counselors in their schools, there's so many different organizations you can become a member of. There is, and those are professional organizations. There are also so many, let's say, groups on Facebook, or there's counselor WhatsApp groups. There's loads of different opportunities where you can still collaborate and work with other professionals in the field, even if they're not directly in your building.
Also the
And I highly
WRC,
recommend people seek that out.
also the WRC Facebook group where it's just launched. So if you haven't joined it yet, other professionals are in there, and it's just a helpful resource for counselors. So
Absolutely.
yes. Yes, I agree with everything you said. And for those that are maybe thinking about becoming a counselor of some sort, whether it's a therapist, a social worker, just some sort of helping agent, what advice would you give to them?
100% follow your passion and don't let anyone deter you from that. Figure out whatever you need to do and do it. So if that means pursuing a licensure, so whether it is a school license, a clinical license, pursue it. Does that mean pursuing a different certification or a different degree? Then pursue it. And I really want to emphasize that, because depending on who you're talking to, some people don't really have a full picture of different avenues. And I'll use myself as an example. Coming from my master's degree as a social worker, I remember when I first moved abroad, there were some schools and different curriculums that felt that I would not be able to do the job that I'm doing now in their school, because whether it was a different curriculum or whether it was that I didn't have a particular degree. And I quickly figured out, okay, so these are the avenues I need to do if I want to pursue this direction, or if not, this is the avenue I need to do if I want to go in this other direction. And I feel that I'm successful. I feel that I am able to service families and do that in a positive manner. So no matter what it is, when people are seeking advice, take the advice, listen to what they're saying, listen to the suggestions, and then figure out what it is that you need to do to be able to follow your passion.
Absolutely. And Trisha, I hear it in your voice every single day. You put students first. What do you love about being a school counselor? What do you love about the job?
Helping people. Absolutely, number one, helping people. It doesn't matter any of my professional roles, whether it was when I was a teacher, whether it was I was a clinical school counselor, school social worker. I was a community social worker. I was a therapist. Now I am a comprehensive counselor. All of my roles lead back to the same thing: helping people. I don't think that I could survive in life if I were not able to make a positive impact on somebody else, whether it was individually with them or as a family.
You're definitely a teacher at heart, whether as a school counselor, a therapist, or a classroom teacher. You're also a teacher as a friend, as a family member. You teach us about all the amazing places you get to visit around the world in your time off. I noticed that, you love traveling, and you've traveled to how many countries now?
42, and I'll be going on my 43rd tomorrow.
Oh my goodness, how exciting. I cannot believe you're going to another country. I'm losing count, but that's the thing. You teach us so much about just things, you're a constant teacher at heart. Like I said, whether it's in personal life, professional life, as a family member, friend, that's something that you're naturally gifted with, I would say. Is there a way people can get in touch with you should they have any questions after listening to today's interview and they maybe wanted to learn a little bit more about what you did?
Absolutely. I do have some social media, and I do have my email. If anybody wants to get in contact with me, you can definitely, I would encourage you to contact Katrina. She can give you all of my personal details. After you join her Facebook groups, you can also see me and chime in with me there. But absolutely, anybody can hit me up on my Instagram, my Facebook, my email, anything. I'm always here to help.
Amazing. I can leave some details in the show notes below in case you do want to get in touch with Trisha Johnson. She is an incredible human, and you need a Trisha in your life like yesterday. So make sure you get in touch with her should you have any questions. And Trisha, thank you so much for being a part of the WRC podcast today. I am just elated and filled with so much joy to have you a part of this episode.
Thank you so much, Katrina. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And everybody, thank you so much for listening today. And I hope to catch you all on the very next episode. And make sure you get some rest and relaxation during this holiday season. Catch you all soon. Take care. Did you love the episode? I hope you're feeling inspired and no longer feeling alone out there, and you're ready to evolve and become a better person. Make sure that you share this podcast or take a screenshot and post it on your social media. That's how you help spread this podcast organically, and people can find it much easier when you share, or share it with a loved one. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and make it your mission to be a blessing in someone else's life today. Hey, WRC fam. Are you a school counselor looking for support and mentorship? I've launched the Well-Rounded Counselor Facebook group. There, you'll find lots of encouragement and community from counselors all over the world. You can join the live trainings where you can connect and learn from myself and others. It's a safe and private group, and only you have to answer a few questions to join. I'll leave the link down in the show notes. But what are you waiting for? Join today, and I'll see you in the group.